Hi, how's it going? I often think about this quote from an interview with Jerry Garcia from the early 70s. Check it out.
It's a good thing to have some one thing that you can work on a more or less a daily basis and be able to see improvement in your own terms that is a result only of your own energy being put into the thing, you know what I mean? It's the kind of thing, anything that you decided to do, if you did it every day and it was something that you could notice yourself improving, the more you do them, the better you get at them. You know, that idea, I think, is really a nice idea to have in your life. It keeps you centered to something, you know. You don't have to be worried about how you're being judged in some absolute sense, but you can judge your own progress on a day-to-day basis. And when you're doing something like that, you know when you're off and you know when you're on.
I love this. I think about it a lot. I think there's a pervasive attitude these days that creativity, and specifically for my purposes, music is, thought of as content. And musicians often feel like they need to crank out the content. I see a lot of shortcut tricks and tips for making tons of music fast. And I won't go down that avenue and speak to that really as much as I'd like to speak to the notion of music being a continuous learning curve, and that's a good thing. It's actually a great thing. I love that. It can be very frustrating and daunting for a beginner to think that there's just an endless curve, that they will just have to be learning and learning forever to be able to even contribute music to the world. But for me, I see it as more of a lifetime pursuit. I see it more as something that you do every day because you need to. What Jerry says in this video really sums it up nicely. It's something that you can do for yourself. And by doing it every day, you'll notice the tiny, tiny little incremental improvements. It's like a fraction of a percent. But if you do put in a certain amount of time and work and effort every day, then the progress starts to become very rewarding. So this is the opposite of learning a bunch of tips and tricks and doing things as fast as possible. It's the patience to learn whatever you're doing in a deeper way that's very personal. For me, it's music in general. That's kind of my one thing. I've been thinking about working on making little bits of progress in my world of music every day. And what does that really look like? Well, in the morning I practice drums for 20 minutes every day. And I'm not a great drummer, but I think that I've improved immensely and I have an incredibly fun time drumming. And I've gotten good enough to drum for my own purposes, for my own music. I don't have the guts to go and play in somebody else's band, but I feel very confident playing drums for my music. I spend about 20 minutes a day sitting at the piano. I don't picture myself ever becoming a great piano player, but I improve every time I sit down, and it helps me hear harmony that I apply to composing, writing, music, other instruments. I also really love piano music. So it's a fun process, albeit very slow, to learn and to improve on the piano. I spend a considerable more amount of time playing guitar every day. That's kind of where my focus is right now, and it's been like for a couple of years now. I played guitar starting at 9 years old, all my life. And I get a lot of joy from just playing guitar, not necessarily performing for other people or in the context of being judged by other people. It's really for me. So this is probably a place that I'm the most right now, in line with what Jerry Garcia is saying in this interview. I put in, on an average 4 hours a day these days playing guitar. And I can feel on a daily basis the tiny, tiny bits of improvement, being able to connect a line, an idea, being able to improvise ideas fluidly. I find that I'm a little cleaner, a little faster. My tone is a little better. My ear is a little more sensitive each day. Now, that measurement is very, very small, and most people wouldn't notice from the outside. If I were to play what I did yesterday versus today for you, you probably wouldn't notice a difference. But since I've been doing this every day for a very, very long time, I do notice the difference. And I appreciate that in my life. It really grounds me as a person to have something like that, like this. And I don't think it needs to be music. I think this would apply to any creative pursuit, art. Well, I'm not just going to list off all the other creative pursuits. Writing, anything that you have to do regularly to improve at. I find this concept is a really reassuring one, because it can be so daunting to see a mountain that needs to be climbed. That's what starting from scratch on an instrument feels like. A little over a year ago, I got a mini upright bass, like a quarter size upright bass. And I don't think that I could honestly play through an entire song with another person as an upright bass player still to this point. But I've put a couple minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, not every day, but maybe per week into the little upright bass. And I have noticed improvements. And it's fun. If I was trying to be like a professional upright bassist or a recording upright bassist, I'd be very frustrated with myself because my improvement has been so slow. But where I'm putting, 4 hours a day, I'm finding great results as an older person. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I think that that's untrue. I'm an old dog learning a lot of new things, and I will not call them tricks because I really feel like music isn't a trick. I mean, music is real magic. It's a way of communicating feelings and emotions and thoughts and ideas. It's an emotional experience. So instead of rushing to a finish line with your creativity or your music or whatever passion project is your thing, consider it an endless learning curve that you enjoy climbing, that compels you and gets you up in the morning to put in a little more and get a little more out every day. Try to remember whatever it was that gave you that feeling and inspired you in the first place to want to learn music. And hold that while you put your time in every day. And by enjoying the daily process of incremental growth, I think you raise your potential in terms of how good you can get and what that actually means in your life. But if you look at it as a means to an end, or when I do these 7 things, then I'll be done, and then I'll be happy, and then I'll be ready, then I'll be there, then I'll be satisfied, I think you're setting yourself up for endless disappointment. But if you look at it as, I'm going to do this thing every day, this one thing, and I'm the sole judge of my own improvement, and I'm going to take inspiration from that feeling, that knowing that I am improving a tiny, tiny amount every day. That's the kind of thing that you can harness in your life to achieve great satisfaction in your work. And I think it's a cool way to look at it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe and all that YouTube stuff. And I'll see you at the next video. Thanks for hanging.